Today on the Tiger Basketball Report, we'll review the Tigers' game against the Phoenix of Elon. Get ready, fans. The Tiger Basketball Report starts now. Hello again and welcome back to the Tiger Basketball Report. I'm your host, Ben Rosenbaum. Tigers, with a rematch against the Phoenix of Elon, came out on the bad side of a 71-45 loss. I'm joined as always by head coach Diane Richardson. Coach, that was, you've had losses this season. No one goes undefeated, but that was probably the roughest game I've seen, I think, all year. Just nothing seemed to go your way that night.
Yeah, and it was a tough game. It really was, and the result showed that it was tough. It was tough for us. And Elon came out ready to play.
What was the mood? You guys had Friday off. What was the mood after that game? I mean, and it wasn't that Elon came in and did anything like spectacular. It was just a lot of turnovers on your end, a lot of missed foul shots. It was just a lot of Towson took themselves out of that game in a lot of situations.
Right, and you know, the thing is, we came into this game a little flat, and I kind of saw something was awry when we went into shoot around, and they were kind of flat. And usually in the morning in the pregame meal, they're pretty upbeat. But you know, and it continued on into the game. So I don't, you know, I'm still trying to find out what it is. Was it, you know, the game off, the day off on Friday, or what it was? So
one of the big things was, well, first of all, Talia vote 2 quick fouls. She has to leave the game for almost the rest of the first half, I think.
Right.
And that seemed to take you out of the rhythm offensively. You end up turning the ball over 24 times as a team, and that was something where Elon kind of was licking their lips, and they scored 29 points off of turnovers. How much did Tal having to come out of that game really derail you guys?
Well, you know, it set us off, and our backup point guard, Raina Barber, was out with a pulled muscle, so we really didn't have a backup. We did end up moving Rain to point guard position, but that took her away from what she normally does as well.
Foul shots, you mentioned Rain. Rain went to the line a whole bunch, barely made any. As a team, you left 14 points, I think it was, on the foul line. At the beginning of the year, foul shooting was one of this team's kind of strengths. You weren't missing many. It seems like recently, though, that started to dip slowly, and it definitely showed its head against Elon. Yeah,
it did. And Rain had a little problem. You know, she was getting to the rim and getting fouled, but she had a little problem with knocking down her free throws. And, you know, I don't know if it has something to do with her maybe fatigued a little bit running the point guard and trying to do a lot more than she normally does, or what it was, or was it the psyche or whatever.
On the bright side, we saw Deja Thomas again. We saw Mariah Gray again. They played limited minutes, but I thought, personally, both of them played very nicely for the minutes that they had. Mariah Gray had a great assist to Rain, I think it was, kind of bounced pass through the lane, and she looked really sharp, and Deja looked tough, too, in her return.
And we were happy to see Deja. You know, obviously, she's coming off an injury, and our trainer said, Coach, be careful, you know, only a few minutes, you know, to spell somebody. And, you know, with Deja's attitude about this program, she wanted to play the entire game. And when we put her in, she showed, you know, her willingness to do whatever it takes. And she did have some great minutes. Mariah came off the bench, of course. She knocked down a big 3 and played some good defense, and she had some really good minutes too. And, you know, and I looked at DC, and, you know, he gave me the sign, okay, it's time to get her out. And when she came to the bench, she was like, Coach, I'm good. And it was good to see that they really wanted to play and really help and do whatever they could to help the game.
Talk about a player like Mariah Gray, who last year, as a freshman, comes to the team, doesn't have much of a role. She's kind of there at the end of the bench, but she's seen a huge increase in minutes since you took over, and she's earned it. She's played, I think, better than anybody else who saw last year would have expected, and her attitude seems like she's willing to do whatever, like you mentioned. What kind of role do you envision for her moving forward?
Well, you know, obviously the you know, her being sick set her back a little bit, but I saw her moving up in minutes and contributions, and I still see that for her. You know, we'll measure it by, you know, her illness and see how much she can push, but I think she deserves more minutes, and she'll see more on the floor. She's not turning the ball over, and she's making good decisions.
And then last, I mean, again, an ugly game for you guys. We've heard of coaches, Rex Ryan buried a football from a game that the Jets played really poorly in, coaches, quote unquote, burning game tape. Yeah. Do you say, forget about this game, move on from it? Or do you show them this game again and say, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this?
Well, we did that. And you know, obviously it's always about teaching and them learning. And so we did have film breakdown on yesterday, and we showed them some of the problems that we were having in the game so they can see it. And then this week, our position coaches are, you know, sitting with them individually. So, you know, we're still going to be teaching. And, you know, obviously it's over and it's done with, but there's still some teaching moments out of it. And hopefully we'll change those things for the next games.
All right. And speaking of next games, we will preview the next game against the Drexel Dragons on the Tiger Basketball Report. Join us next time. I'll be here with head coach Diane Richardson. And as always, go Tigers.